Today's youth are upset and disillusioned by the slowness by which we're transitioning off fossil fuels, and maybe we're not taking climate change seriously enough. And I'm going to talk to Elijah Dietrich, who is the Western University chapter head of Student Energy. It's an international group based out of Vancouver that deals with youth around the issues around energy transition. So welcome to the interview, Elijah.
Thanks so much, Mark. I'm very happy to be here.
Look, let's get right down to it. What do you and your cohort, the folks you're going to university with, what do you talk about when you talk about energy transition and climate change?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'll start with just how we think about it, right? So for us, it's this grand challenge, and it's the thing that kind of we see as our futures are in jeopardy if we're not addressing it. And so there's the challenge aspect of it. And then the other side of it, there's the opportunity, right? It's sort of a historic transition that because of this grand challenge, we're going to have to make. And we see ourselves, particularly university students right now, but especially people even younger than myself, as at the right moment in time to do something about it, and live to see the benefits, right? Or in the case of inaction, live not to and live with the consequences of it. I think another one of the major sort of facets of this issue for us is the fact that given our age and sort of our standing in life and that sort of thing, we don't have a ton of the power. We're constantly advocating to institutions and centers of power that do to make these changes in our interest. And given sort of that same dynamic of people who are older, more mature, have been through it for longer, being in positions of power, they don't necessarily have those interests. So it's a lot of talking amongst ourselves and figuring out sort of what matters to us as we look at this.
Look, I interview a lot of clean tech entrepreneurs, clean energy entrepreneurs, and I often ask them, are there opportunities for youth in their laboratories or in their factories or whatever? And overwhelmingly, the answer is yes. And they point out that they can't get enough of well-educated, well-trained graduates in their 20s and early 30s. And it does seem in many ways like this is a great opportunity for people like yourself. You're an engineering and business major once you get out of school.
Absolutely. I'm surprised to hear that, frankly, because I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone my age right now who doesn't even tangentially care about this issue. It's pretty much a rallying cry for the entire generation, particularly those who are younger than us.
Right, gotcha. So what does Student Energy do at Western University? What are some of the activities that you've undertaken?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have sort of a three-pronged mission. We're seeking to educate students on the relevant issues and then the tools that are at their disposal to do something about it. We're seeking to give them practical experiences to make an impact and actually sort of see that for themselves. And then we're looking to connect them with people sort of working in this space who maybe a little bit further along can provide some sort of mentorship. So we've done that through a number of case competitions, pitch competitions, like webinars and things like that. We recently hosted one in collaboration with a chapter at Carleton around climate justice and those sorts of topics. And then a number of sort of small initiatives here and there. And one of the big things we're looking to focus on now is student-initiated projects. So supporting students in finding a problem in their community that relates to emissions or energy, developing a solution, and then supporting them through that process.
Now, I saw on your email that you had done some computer simulations, if I got that right.
That's
and if you do, explain how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2018, I believe, I was a member of this thing called the Prime Minister's Youth Council. So we advised cabinet on different just issues as they pertain to youth. And the one that I focused on was sustainability, right? And so through that role, I had the opportunity to attend the UN Climate Conference in Poland that year. And upon coming back, just so much learned there and realizing just how big of a problem this is when you have to coordinate the governments of 170 plus countries to figure out how to tackle it, right? That students here at Western need to understand how that works. It's just such a key part of addressing this challenge. So what we did was found a simulator where essentially you would input policies into it, and it would show you the warming curve and the impact of those policies on the climate, the energy system, and things like that. So then what we did was we sort of had students come in, break apart into different teams representing different stakeholders such as policy makers, like industry, NGOs, and things like that. We had them take on those roles, negotiate policies. We put them in the simulator, and then they were able to see sort of firsthand in a UN conference style format what the impact of that would be and see how it all works together.
So, final question for you, Elijah. Are these kinds of activities well attended? Is there a lot of interest in them? Is this is student energy and its activities kind of a catalyst for discussions around energy transition and climate change at Western University?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually only, I want to say, like a year and a half old at this point, maybe a little bit longer. And I think as a new club, we started with sort of smaller cohorts. Average attendees at our events are about 30 students and things like that, which is nowhere near some of the bigger clubs on campus. But the remarkable thing that we're seeing is sort of the growth, right? An interest in just even the size of our team, I think represents it the best. After establishing ourselves here and sort of showing the issues we care about, what we're able to do about them, and things like that. Our executive team of students who sort of organize these events and initiatives grew from probably around 10 to, I think we're at like 40 or just over 40 right now. So quadrupled in a year, right? And so I think really once you get a foothold in these places and you sort of show students that they can do something about this, they already have like the want to within themselves. And it's just a matter of time before they sort of use those opportunities to do that.
I got to ask you this question, Elijah, before I let you go. And that is, how do you feel about this? I mean, your personal future sounds like you're probably going to graduate in a year or so and get out into the workplace. Are you pessimistic or optimistic?
Yeah, I would say cautiously optimistic. It's incredibly demotivating to be pessimistic, and when you're faced with such a big issue like this, and the like impacts that we're hearing it would have if we don't do anything. So I think being optimistic, constantly looking for solutions, looking for the best in situations, but then also really holding people's feet to the fire so that they're not just talking the talk, but they're also walking the walk on taking serious climate action.
Elijah, thank you very much for this. Really appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Thank you.